Good afternoon. I have invited Dr Chandrabhanu, OAM, the international dance artist, anthropologist, and sometimes saint, to lunch today to talk about everything dance and his life. And also with us today is Dr Anis Noor from Nusantara Performing Arts, and Susan Sarah John, who is a music arranger. Of course, absent is Mr. Soon Heng from KLSP, who will be joining us perhaps later. We're going to be sitting down to lunch and having a fantastic conversation. Here they are.
Hello.
Dr. Anis Noor, Susan, and
Hello.
Nice to see
Dr.
you.
Chandrabhanu.
Yes.
Hello. Come, please sit. Let me pull this chair for you. It's pretty heavy.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Right. Here we are. Now I will get you your rice.
Thank you.
And please help yourselves.
Thank
Yeah.
you. It's very nice.
Chandraji, you were down here for since?
I came on the 2nd of July.
Oh, okay.
So I've been here for 5 weeks.
Okay.
I'm going back on Saturday.
Okay.
Boleh makan kah ini semua makanan?
Oh yes. Your sambal is delicious.
This one? Tak pedas?
Yeah.
Kita orang makan dulu.
Go ahead. I just sit with you.
She'd like-
ulam.
Do you like some ulam?
Yeah, I'll take some.
Some water or coffee?
You're looking good. Good. Not bad.
Chandraji, tell me, what was it like growing up in Perlis during your time? Which was actually during my time too.
Well, I think the first thing that I go back to in terms of my background is that I was born in British Malaya. You know, in 1950, when I was born, it was still under the British government. Both my parents were part of the colonial setup, you know, in the sense that my father was a government administrator, and my mother was involved with the nursing profession. And Perlis, where I grew up, in those years was considered to be very isolated and very, well, for want of a better word, you should say Perlis is very backward. Now, there were a lot of people who came to work in Perlis, and they came from Penang. So my parents both are very proud orang Tanjung, we say. You know, that's in Penang. When we say orang Tanjung, means the urban peranakan sometimes who live in Georgetown. So they came with that, along with a lot of other people who came to work in Perlis to develop it. So that really set the pace of the 1950s as I was growing up until 1957. When, you know, the Merdeka came in. For me, that was probably a very big defining moment, because with the Merdeka celebrations, I was 7 years old. We went out on a lantern parade. You know, we were given lanterns and we went out on lantern parades shouting Merdeka, Merdeka.
So politically incorrect.
Yes. And so what I was a mischievous child, you know. I thought, okay, the parade is over. The school teachers just said that now gather here and we're taking you back to the school where your parents will come and pick you up. And I said to a couple of my school friends, no, we're not going back. Look what's going on over there. In the Padang, they had set up all these bangsals. You know, bangsals for Gendang Terinai, or what was then called Gendang Keling. Bangsal for Terinai dancing. Bangsal for menorah. Bangsal for GK. A theatre form called GK. So I said to my friends, we don't want to go back to school. We want to go and see those performances because of the pride of being an independent country, Malaya then. All these people were brought out from the villages, and for me that was what I wanted to see. You know, there were fireworks and so forth, and so I went and I sat down in front of the Gendang Keling musicians, sitting in the bangsal, and they were playing, and that, I think, the first time I suddenly realized this is something else. You know, it's not the kind of music. Until then, we could hear the music, like certain weddings, these musicians would come to play, and then my old guru, Pak Me, used to go with the group, and he used to perform his Terinai dance. But until then, at the age of 7, when I sat there in front, I said, it dawned on me that this is something quite special. I think all I can say is that it hit me so strongly, and I always say that there was macam kita recognize jiwa kita in relation to that music. And then of course there was menorah in some form. There was wayang kulit, of course, always, you know, in those years. Apart from that, there was dancing taking place of a different kind. We had the stages that were set up for joget. They had what they would call the putri joget. You know, you buy a ticket and you can go and dance with one of the putris. There was Changgong stage, and that's quite different. That's typically Perlis. The Changgong stage, when people got up there and danced with the Changgong, Putri Changgong. And then there was the Rambong stage. You know, these were Rambong, Thailand. So it was, I still remember that night, I went against the school regulations. My parents were frantic when the school went back and I wasn't there to be picked up, and these two friends, and my father got into Kanga is a very small place anyway. My father got into his car and drove around looking for me, and found us, you know, watching one of the performances. And I remember the bangsal was very near the road, and the car came. I saw my father's car come in, and I said, oh my God, I said to my two friends, you know, my Baba is there. Sembunyi. And he came out and pulled us out, and he was so angry, and put us in the car and sent the other two kids home, and then went home and he got his belt.
Oh gosh.
He said, if you ever do that again, you know, disappear like that. And I said, look, there's so many things to see. It's Merdeka, you know, and there's so many things to see, and I wanted to see them, and said no one was going to take me. If I came back to the school, I'd be here, home.
But you were 7 years old.
I was 7 years old.
Imagine.
And so, fortunately for me, my father was a very liberal-minded person, into the arts, music, singing, Western music, particularly jazz. And he was the one who encouraged me to learn dancing properly, you know.
Wow,
He used to say to me when I was even younger than 7, he used to say to me that my feet were made for dancing.
Wow.
Never
so
knew what he meant by that.
fantastic.
Later on I thought, was he thinking of classical ballet? You know, looking at my feet, whether it pointed or not, or was he thinking of Indian dance, or was he thinking of any dance form at all? So he encouraged it. So in the end, you know, when I kept getting into trouble for running off to go and see performances and things, I said to my father in the end, I said, you encouraged it. And he would think it was very, very amusing. But the thing also is that his grandmother was a Nauch girl, was a dancing girl, an Indian dancing girl. My father came from a Bengali Burmese background. And my great-grandmother was a Nauch girl, you know, never to be mentioned.
Wow.
But now you're saying it out loud.
Yeah, well, at that
At that
time, my relatives, when first Straits Time article on my Bharatanatyam performance came out, I actually was interviewed, and I mentioned the fact that my great-grandmother, the Burmese woman they call her, was a dancer, and so was my grandmother. But my grandmother was abducted by my grandfather at the age of 13 and brought from Calcutta to Penang. So there's this whole background, you know, hanging on. And I think my father was quite inspired by the fact that he had enough sense of colonial history to understand, you know, the plight of native people and their arts. So he encouraged me, but my mother was against it. You know, my mother came from a background of Chinese, Thai, Arabic, and with links to China and links to, as I discovered much later in my life, my grandfather on my mother's side actually came from Phuket and came to Penang, where he met my Chinese grandmother, who was a widow, who had come from China. And through an incident where he, as a policeman, he worked as a policeman, rescued her from being robbed by a rickshaw driver.
Wow.
Because she, despite being a widow, she wore her jewels when she came to Penang. So he rescued her, and afterwards she decided to thank him for saving her, and I think something blossomed, and he married her. And it was her second marriage. So the background is, you know, quite mixed. And when I look at our family today, I always say, look, we had so many things to look back to in our heritage, both culturally, background-wise, that whole process of moving to a different country. So I said, I don't know how many generations it has been since people have been moving, but that's the kind of, you know, a background that I suppose as a child I had lots of ideas, dreams that I was going to do this, I was going to do that, I was going to travel, and I think I've lived up to that more or less throughout my whole life. So that changing moment, as I said, that Merdeka thing of seeing those performers and thinking, oh my God, you know, this is something.
What amazing.
Yeah,
story.
it's 7.
You know what? What an amazing potpourri you come from.
Yes,
Now we understand
absolutely.
where the bloom comes from.
Yeah.
From this basket of potpourris, you know.
Burmese style, Arab.
And
make
then
it even-
having a father
to
who's
make
so
it-
broad-minded from that young age.